Hello and welcome to the McTaggart Attack podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, and this is my podcast where I talk about whatever I want, really. That's what my podcast is. I talk about stuff that's happening to me, or my thoughts on things, or sometimes I rant about stuff for other people, but that's not what this episode is. Some episodes are just me testing out potential material for stand-up comedy. Because I'm a stand-up comedian from Vermont. Look me up on YouTube. I have some videos if you're interested in that to see my material. Book me on your shows if you want to book me on your shows. All open for that. I'll do shows for money. Any type of money. I mean, preferably legal money. Legal cash tender. $20 or more. Yeah. Or over $10. Or $5. Or just a couple dollars. I did a show for $3. But I didn't know if I was getting money. I didn't ask if I was getting money. And I just, they gave me $3 at the end of the show. Which is fine. I was expecting $0. So I got $3 more than I expected. Which was great. Enough incessant rambling, Kevin. What's today's topic of this episode? This episode, I want to talk about a traumatic experience that I had last week, and it still bothers me. I'm still traumatized by it, and I think it's something that a lot of people are traumatized by, and I think I want to talk about it to people, so people can understand, so people can feel like they're not alone. So last Wednesday night, I was going to go drive down to Manchester to watch the comedy show that takes place every week at the Shaskeen in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I'm driving down 89, and I get down 89 South, and I get to around exit 16, and the tire pressure sensor goes off in my brand new car. And I immediately panic. I don't know what to do. I mean, I know what the tire pressure sensor is. It goes off when your tire pressure in one or more of your tires gets low. It's happened in every Subaru I have. It's just something I expect to happen, but I never like when it happens because I panic whenever it fucking happens. So, this was the first time it's happened in my new car that I got 2 months ago. So, instead of going to the Shaskeen comedy show, I'm sorry, Nick LaValle, I was going to go watch it, but I couldn't, and I apologize. I'm not sure if you listen to the podcast, but if you do, that's great. Or anyone, thank you for listening to the McTaggart Attack podcast over the past couple years. I appreciate you. Anyway, I went and drove home. Actually, at first, I stopped at the Hanover Co-op because they have an air pressure thing. But I didn't know what the fuck to do, and I didn't know what tire it was. So I just, tried the passenger tire because I thought it was that one. And so I then went home because the sensor was still on. And I went home, and my mom met me at the door. She's like, "Hey, you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine. Just need Dad to come with me to help me put air in my tire." So we went to the Danenwitz general store in Norwich, Vermont. Danenwitz, if they don't have it, you don't need it. They had an air machine though, so I used it. At least I tried to. We both tried to use it, and we couldn't read the gauge. The gauge looked broken on the air pressure thing there at Danenwitz. So my dad went inside, and I'm still trying to do it. And he eventually comes out with this young guy who works for Danenwitz, and he had the tire pressure gauge because the one on the machine is broken. So he measured the air pressure. The air pressure was the perfect amount for the rear tires, but it was low in the two front ones. So he filled them to 33, like it said, on the side of the driver's side car door. So he filled them, and I'm like, oh, great, good. And then after a mile of driving, the sensor went off, so I'm like, oh, okay, good to go. So then, I went for a walk. I drove to Hanover and took a walk, and the sensor still didn't go off, which was great. And, so I looked at my email after I came home from my walk around Hanover, like I usually do, because I'm a slave to my fucking Fitbit. Fitbit, the unofficial sponsor of the McTaggart Attack podcast. Get a Fitbit and let it ruin your life. So, right. So, when I got back from my walk, I saw that I had an email from Subaru Starlink, which is a service I have through my Subaru. And I know I can look at Subaru Starlink through my app. But the email said that my tire pressure sensor was low. I'm like, oh my god, my car just emailed me. This is fucking awesome. So I went on to the Subaru Starlink app, the My Subaru app, and went into the Starlink part, and I could see the tire pressure for all of my tires. And they all looked relatively the same, which was good. But I thought that was cool. I don't need to buy a gauge, because I thought I would need to buy a gauge, but I didn't buy a gauge. Now I just use my Subaru app. So, I went to work the next day, Thursday, and I looked at the tire, every time I parked the car, I looked at the My Subaru app to check the tire gauges, to check the tire pressure. And the tire pressure in the passenger side front tire was getting lower throughout the day. And I'm like, well, we just filled it yesterday. And I don't see the tire pressure sensor going off, so I'm not going to worry about this. So, Thursday night after work, I drove down to Manchester for the Strange Brew open mic. I made it down there. Tire pressure sensor did not go off. I'm thinking, okay, this is good. Even though the My Subaru app still shows the tire pressure much lower in the passenger tire than the front passenger tire than the other three tires. So, I'm driving home from Manchester. Had a great set, by the way. And I'm at about exit 9 on 89 North, and the tire pressure sensor goes off. And I'm like, well, this is good timing, because I'll stop at exit 9 at the gas station there and use the tire pressure sensor there. And that one cost money. I went in and talked to the clerk. It's like, oh yeah, it costs money. Give me some dollars and I'll give you some quarters. It also takes credit cards. I'm like, all right, well, here's $2. He gave me, $2 and change in quarters. So I get over, and he told me first of all, the people, not graffiti, but they steal from that thing. They steal the needle from the air pressure, oh, well, that's good. Well, good news is the air pressure thing was working, but the quarters were broken. There were 2 quarters stuck in the slot. Put your quarters in one at a time. What the fuck is wrong with you people? But I used my credit card and filled the tire to 32, because that's the highest it would go on the machine. And then I drove home. No tire pressure sensor issue, but I checked the app again, and it kept getting lower. So I thought, okay, fuck this. I'm going into the dealership tomorrow, because I'm dumb and don't know how to do this. Something is obviously wrong. And I was right, because I get to the dealership, White River Subaru, by the way, I love that place. And they, right away, the guy Will, who's phenomenal. If you know Will at White River Subaru, he's awesome. He, saw right away that there was a nail in my tire. And so I had my dad drive me back to work, and then they called me a few hours later, and they said, oh, hey, we patched up the tire, only going to cost you $30. Woohoo. And I keep checking the My Subaru app. Every time now, though, that's my fucking problem. The car is apparently fine now, but I check the My Subaru app every time after I'm done driving. And this bothers me. Like, the tire pressure sensor has given me a huge amount of anxiety now. When's it going to go off? Is it going to go off now? Like, I was in Burlington earlier today, and I drove over a pothole, and now I'm fucking panicked. But it's fine. I keep checking the tire pressure sensor, but it's fine. But I keep wanting to check it over and over and over again every time I fucking stop or park somewhere. I park somewhere. I stop somewhere on purpose just so I can check the tire pressure sensor. How fucked up is that? This is the stupid shit that I fucking worry about on a fucking daily basis. This is just an example of the stupid shit that I fucking worry about on a fucking daily basis. This is my life. Checking the My Subaru app for my tire pressure sensor. That's what I fucking do. The fuck is wrong with me? Alright, well, if you like what you hear on the McTaggart Attack podcast, or if you hate what you hear on the McTaggart Attack podcast, email me, McTaggartAttack@gmail.com. Look me up on Twitter, @KevMcT, that's @KEVMCT, or the first 3 letters of my first name and the first 3 letters of my last name. You can also find the McTaggart Attack podcast Facebook page on Facebook. And that's the bottom line if you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking.